What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. We hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, excited, and ready to talk because, boy, do we have a lot to discuss. Before we keep going, our Dallas Cowboys postgame show is presented to you by our friends at Righteous Felon Craft Jerky, the jerky that helps fuel our divisional round-bound Dallas Cowboys. That is correct. Righteous Felon Jerky and Biltong are available for Cowboys players at the Ford Center training facility, so you can eat what they eat. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein, Biltong 32, and each meat stick has 8 grams of protein. If it's good enough for the divisional round-bound Dallas Cowboys, it has got to be good enough for you as well. Righteous Felon uses locally sourced, all-natural black Angus beef and prides itself on superior quality, revolutionary branding, and unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. Go to righteousfelon.com and use discount code BTB15 to get 15% off of your order. That is BTB15 for 15% off of your order. Well. What are they going to say now? What are they going to say now? That is my question. What are they going to say now? You can't win in the playoffs. You can't beat Tom Brady. You can't win in those navy blue, royal blue jerseys. You're 1-4 on grass. Dak Prescott's 1-3 in the playoffs. Mike McCarthy, he's not this, he's not that. The Dallas Cowboys heard all those people and said, to hell with you. The Dallas Cowboys shut them and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down on Monday night. The Dallas Cowboys, who are fighting a history, the Dallas Cowboys who are carrying the weight of a franchise that has been so just in their own way for 3 decades. The Dallas Cowboys completely, totally put all of that to bed with a 31-14 destruction of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dak Prescott, as we have Zach Fowler saying here on the YouTube side of things. You can watch us live on the Blog of the Boys YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and like the video. You can also watch us live on the Blog of the Boys Facebook, the Book of Faces. Zach Fowler says on YouTube, Dak had that dog in him. Hashtag woof. Jessica says, except Maher. We're going to get to that. Glenn says the best game of Dak's career. Dak Prescott was flawless. Dak Prescott was perfect. He became the 4th player in the Super Bowl era with 4 or more passing touchdowns, 1 or more rushing touchdown in a playoff game, joining Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, and Matt Ryan. Dak Prescott became the first, number 1, the only quarterback in Dallas Cowboys franchise history with 5 total touchdowns in a playoff game. Everywhere you looked, ESPN treated this thing like the damn Super Bowl. They had all their shows. They had all the sets. They had everything. Dak's under pressure. Dak has got to deliver. Dak has to do this. Dak has to do that. And you know what? Heavy is the head that wears the crown of the Dallas Cowboys quarterback position. We all know that. And Dak Prescott was marvelous. 25 of 33, 305 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. What's going to happen? Dak Prescott, he tied for the league lead in interceptions, even though he missed 5 games. Not a single one when it counted. He also had the rushing touchdown that made Peyton Manning giggle, the bootleg. It was a lot of fun. Gave us some PTSD from what happened, obviously, in 2013. We don't have to talk about that. Casey Cooper with a super chat. Thank you so much. Says Chuck Norris wears Dak Prescott and gasp. Kellen Moore underoos. We won't be able to afford both Tony Pollard and Dalton Schultz in the offseason. Happy New Year. RJ. Johnny Boy RN says they're going to say that Brady is done. The grass was cut short. Navy's jerseys aren't actually navy but royal blue, and anything else to not give them their flowers. Adam says Dak was on fire emoji. Thank you, Carlos, so much for the super chat. Says Dallas Revenge Tour 2023 coming to a town near you. Next stop, San Fran. Got to give love to Kellen Moore for calling a good game, a great game, I would say, Carlos, and to Dak for no interceptions. But Maher, let's get it together. Tough test coming up, but why not us? Why not us? Look, here's the thing, people. Did the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl on Monday night? No, obviously not. Are we going to hang a banner because they beat Tom Brady for the first time on Monday night? No, we're not. Are we able to contextualize this and understand that, yeah, it's a big-time deal, but it is not the big-time deal? Yes, but are we going to celebrate? Hell yeah, we are. The Dallas Cowboys just took down the greatest player of all time. They were the first team to intercept him in the red zone since he became a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. 3 full seasons, obviously 3 playoff runs for Tom Brady. Many games played at Raymond James Stadium, including the Super Bowl that they just so happened to win and defeat the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Dallas Cowboys went down to Tommy's house and, like a bunch of savages, just took everything for their own. Shout out to the Cowboys. Just an incredible performance that we saw all throughout the night. Not quite from the jump. It was a little bit of a shaky start for them, obviously, but just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful performance for the Cowboys. We have a lot of super chats to get to. Everybody's in the giving spirit. All right. Thank you so much. Let's get to Jason Travis. I'm trying to get this comment up here, Jason. I'm looking for it. This is a difficult one for me to find. Jason, thank you so much. Says, down goes Brady. Down goes Brady. All of them fake haters looking silly now. How about them Cowboys? I would shout this. I would scream this, but my 1-year-old son is asleep on the other side of the house, so I don't want to get in trouble here in the household. But what an incredible performance. Sam, thank you for the super chat. Says, LFG, stock up to you for giving us great content all season and year. Thank you so much, Sam. Time to beat the Niners now. Hopefully Brock Purdy's inexperience shows next week. Astro Joe Garcia says, the goal is to win and fight another week. Bring on San Francisco. I think I have gotten all of the super chats. If I haven't, please let me know. I'm keeping a close eye on the chat. We have so many people in here, so many people celebrating, and I don't want to lose this moment. These are the moments, all right? These are the moments that we miss in the middle of March, in the middle of June, when the Cowboys are first taken off the training camp. It is this euphoria. It is this joy. It is this sheer, pure, just absolute joy. Nothing gives us this. Nothing. And this is the moment. This is why we put up with it. This is why we read all the blogs and why we hang out on the postgame shows. This is why we do it, to chase this joy. And the Dallas Cowboys gave it to us. And what an incredible way that they did so. It was just, marvelous. Jason Travis, thank you again for the super chat. Says, Dak got all the haters looking silly. He is elite. 5 total touchdowns. Who has the gall to look? I am not going to sit here and tell you that Dak Prescott is the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm not even going to sit here and tell you that he is a top, 3 quarterback in the NFL, right? You can make an argument for different quarterbacks on different days, but if you're somebody who denied that this performance was possible for Dak Prescott, and not just in the world where anything is possible, so it could happen, this is who Dak is. Dak can be this guy on the reg. Can he be the guy that turns the ball over? Absolutely. Can Josh Allen be the guy that turns the ball over? Absolutely. We saw that on Sunday, and did anybody hear a peep about Josh Allen's 3 turnovers that almost cost the Bills a wild card playoff win? No, you didn't hear that. Is anybody going to hear anything about how Dak Prescott dismantled Todd Bowles' mighty Tampa Bay defense? No, we're not. We're going to hear all about how the Bucs were below 500 and Tom Brady was washed and all sorts of stuff. It's just the way that things go. Thank you, Watsamata, for the super chat. NFC Beast has 3 of the 4 teams still in the NFC playoffs. That's correct. Obviously, the Cowboys will visit the 49ers on Sunday afternoon, but Saturday night, the New York Football Giants will visit the Philadelphia Eagles. 3 of the 4 teams, obviously, in the division, playing in the divisional round. The last time that a single division had 3 of its teams in the divisional round of the playoffs was 1992, and we all know what happened then. The Dallas Cowboys not only beat the 49ers in the playoffs, but they won the Super Bowl. Mitchell Green points out something very important. Tomorrow is Victory Polo Monday, Tuesday edition. You can call it Victory Polo Tuesday if you'd like. That's up to you. Dr. Trevor says, I missed a $10 super chat. Let's see here. I'm trying to find it. $10. Thank you. Big Red TLC says, we will be an underdog. Thank you, Big Red TLC. We will be an underdog the rest of the NFC playoffs. We play well when no one thinks we can. All credit to Dak. In case anybody is curious, the Dallas Cowboys have indeed opened as 3.5-point underdogs for their divisional round matchup on the road against the San Francisco 49ers. Again, that game taking place on Sunday afternoon at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. The 49ers look like the best team in the NFL. Yes, they have Mr. Irrelevant at quarterback. We're going to hear about that story on and on and on and on. But I love the question, why not us? Why can't it be the Cowboys? The Cowboys look like they can hang with anybody, but the Niners are the standard. The Niners are the team that the Cowboys obviously lost to last year in the wild card round of the playoffs, and they're looking for revenge. The revenge tour is indeed set up for the Cowboys, and it would be sweet if they obviously pulled it off. Fareeth Robledo, hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, says, RJ, Dak was a baller today. He proved me wrong this game, but consistency is the it factor. I hope he proves me wrong and takes us to the ship. The D and DB showed up. Thank you for the super chat, Fareeth. I don't like this qualifier. Why do we have to say this? Why do we have to say but? And I don't want to pick apart the point. Why do we have to say but? Dak Prescott just dropped an all-time performance. We just witnessed, I'm not exaggerating or being silly. I'm somebody who supports Dak Prescott. This isn't said to kind of like feed that narrative. It is objectively true that we just witnessed one of the most incredible performances that any player in Dallas Cowboys franchise history has ever had in the postseason. There is no but, there is no well, there is no, they were below 500. There is none of that. This was a win or go home, do or die game on the road, on the grass, the blue jerseys against the greatest player of all time. And Dak Prescott was perfect. He was perfection. He was as perfect as you could possibly be. Just an incredible performance from Dak Prescott and a lot of other players. We have our stock report to get to. We'll obviously touch on everybody that had an incredible game for the Cowboys. Clarissa Dunahu, hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, said, thank you for the super chat. All the Dak haters can zip it for a week. Now let's get some revenge on the 49ers and root for a Giants win. Tony Dunahu threw me off with the name here, Tony. Okay, I was off. Some people, they share their accounts or something like that. So, hey, I was a little bit, thrown off there. Curveballs coming for me too here tonight. The Dallas Cowboys, like I said, won. Just an incredible night for the Cowboys, obviously. L2K War Hades for the super chat. I don't know if you had a comment, L2K, that you did not apply to the super chat. So I'll be on. Here we go. It says, let's get it, dude. Big stock up, Dak. I don't know how it could be anything else here. Let's start with our stock report, obviously. Dak Prescott, we mentioned it. What an incredible player. Who was your stock up player? By the way, we do have our poll up available for you if you are watching live. If you're on the Facebook side of things, you don't see it. The YouTube side does. Our poll question, who was the righteous felon craft jerky player of the game? Dak Prescott leading the way with 91% of the vote. We do have other options in Dalton Schultz, Micah Parsons, and another player that you can name if you'd like. But Dak Prescott clearly going to run away with this. Stock up. I mean, what just an amazing day for Dak Prescott. An amazing performance for Dak Prescott to shut everybody up. Going to be a wonderful week. People will find things to say. And again, this does not mean that the Cowboys won the Super Bowl, but this is something I don't think that enough people are coming around to this idea. By the way, Fareed, thank you for the super chat again, to stock up the O-line even after the injuries. I agree. I mean, and Jason Peters, we hope he's all right. There were a lot of like, man, I hope he's all right moments. Jason Peters, J-Ron Kearse, Dorrance Armstrong. By the way, we're all praying for Russell Gage. Hopefully he's all right. That was a scary moment near the end of this game. Just an unfortunate side of football. But, I mean, as we kind of talk about this game as a whole, because obviously Dak Prescott is the main story, but there are other main stories, right? And I don't think that enough people are, and I've said this many times on all of our shows, or if you follow me on social media, we are not seeing enough credit being given to Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy has improved every season that he has been the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And obviously the first season was filled with Dak Prescott's injury. It was a tough sort of thing for the Cowboys to take, but Mike McCarthy last year got the Cowboys to the playoffs. And you know what? They got embarrassed, and it was frustrating, and we were all pissed off. I talked about the days of March and the days of June. We were really upset. It was hard to watch the rest of the playoffs last year because the Cowboys got exposed. They were too soft. They weren't hard or tough enough, or however you want to put it. They weren't glass eaters, blah, blah, blah. But you know what the Cowboys did? They said, that is never going to happen to us again. The Cowboys buckled down, got to work, and they said, we're not going to make excuses. We're not going to point our fingers and blame officials anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to find a way to thrive. Your starting quarterback goes down week 1 against this team, the Buccaneers. Who cares? You got to find a way to win. And that is what the Cowboys have done all season long. Give my man his props. Mike McCarthy has gotten the Cowboys to the divisional round of the playoffs, and nobody wants to give him any love. People want to talk all about Sean Payton. Who cares? The Dallas Cowboys have one of the best coaches in the NFL, and you can make a joke about that. You can roll your eyes. It is objective fact. Mike McCarthy has been to the playoffs 2 of his 3 years as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He has now gotten to the divisional round of the playoffs, and if he wins on Sunday afternoon, we're going to be talking about somebody who has done something incredible relative to the Cowboys. He already has. Mike McCarthy not only is the first head coach to win back-to-back or half back-to-back seasons of 12-plus victories for the Cowboys since the mid-'90s, Mike McCarthy is the literal first head coach in Dallas Cowboys franchise history since Jimmy Johnson to win a road playoff game. Nobody, not Barry Switzer, not Chan Gailey, not Dave Campo, not, Bill Parcells, Wade Phillips, Jason Garrett. Nobody won a road playoff game, but Mike McCarthy did. And he didn't just win a road playoff game. He went down and he played the greatest player of all time. I don't want to hear anything about how Brady isn't Brady. Mike McCarthy has earned his flowers. Give them to him, people. All right, I think I missed some super chats. Going to get up here and try to catch up. Let's see here. I see one. I'm trying to find it. Mick Falbo, by the way, says props to Kellen Moore tonight. I agree. Ron the Don says stock up to Dalton Schultz. We'll get there. Nathan Small, thank you for the super chat. Says super impressed by Israel Mukwamu and LVE. LVE is a super underrated cornerstone of our defense. Hyped to have him back. 3 beer minimum, says hashtag cry Brady. Thank you for the super chat. Obviously, a lot of you are having fun at Tom Brady's expense. I can't say I blame you. Obviously, Tom Brady has made people's lives, rather miserable in a football sense. But anyway, so stock up Mike McCarthy. You guys kind of touched on it. Stock up Kellen Moore. I don't know how people are not paying more attention to Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, I'm not going to sit here and defend Kellen as much as I obviously am Mike McCarthy, but Kellen Moore has orchestrated one of the best offenses in the NFL this season, and certainly with Dak Prescott under center. And that has been the case for every single year that Kellen has been the OC of this team. Whenever he has had Dak at his disposal, he has put together a plan. And we talked about all week long, is he saving the good plays? Is Kellen kind of outthinking? Is he playing 40 chess here? What's happening with Kellen and Moore? Actually, thank you so much, Anthony Gonzalez, for the super chat. Just says 40 chess, Papa, Dak, and Kellen on another level, meeting the 49ers again will make Dallas extra motivated with last year's bad taste, like Spurs revenge on LeBron's Heat. Tonight was great. Order the Cowboys. Thank you, Anthony. I myself am a San Antonio Spurs fan, but there are obviously a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans who root for the Dallas Mavericks. And Chris Godwin really tempted fate wearing the Dwayne Wade 2006 NBA Finals jersey on the walk into this. Just not a smart decision. He did all that just for his team to lose 31-14. You really do hate to see it. But Kellen Moore, again, I mean, maybe he was kind of holding things back. And we talked about this a lot last week. It was always going to be a matter of finding out who the Cowboys were. That's what this game was, right? And I think the proof is kind of in the pudding, so to speak. Tony Pollard led the team in carries, 15 carries, 77 yards, 5.1 yards a carry. Zeke Elliott did have 13, had some near the goal line, obviously, 27 yards, 2.1 yards a carry. So Tony Pollard had 15 carries, obviously, and was targeted 3 times in the receiving game. I'm sorry, had 3 receptions, but did have 3 targets. So you're talking about 18 total touches for Tony Pollard. That's something that makes sense, right? And so I do think that Kellen Moore deserves credit for that. People, obviously, myself included, criticized Kellen Moore last year in the wildcard round for not involving Tony Pollard, for not involving CeeDee Lamb. And Tony Pollard was the leading sort of target, leading touch sharer, had the highest touch percentage of any player associated with the Cowboys, obviously outside of Dak Prescott, which proves to us that the Cowboys realize that, in money situations, Tony Pollard is the running back to involve. That's not to say Zeke is trash. That's not to say Zeke doesn't offer something himself, but that is to say that the Cowboys clearly recognize and understand the value that Tony Pollard presents to their team. CeeDee Lamb had 6 targets. Actually, we talked about last week how Dalton Schultz was so much in the mix and blah, blah, blah. CeeDee Lamb, kind of a quiet day. I say that even though he caught a touchdown, but 6 targets, 4 receptions, 68 yards, obviously had the touchdown. Kellen Moore really involved everybody, and I think he deserves a lot of credit. Kellen Moore was in his bag, so to speak, to use the verbiage that the kids do. Let's get caught up on some super chats. Thank you, Brian. To stock up Dak, coaches, all of them, even Kellen, he deserves his flowers too. O-line, LVE, Curse, MCL injury, Hankins penalties, stock down, Maher, Diggs, and Noah Brown. I thought Noah Brown was all right. I haven't seen anything myself, by the way, on J-Ron Curse. So we'll see if anything happens. If anybody does see something, please let me know. We are live, obviously, live in the aftermath, of everything going on here. But so, okay, thank you, Brian, for the super chat. Fareeth, again, thank you for the super chat, says Dan Quinn. He put on a hell of a defensive plan, was solid. Look, this was a tough week to put together a stock report, and I do write about this. I do an Instagram post as well. So this is a hard week to make the stock list. I mean, and I have 9 stock ups, and I actually kind of cheated and put some position groups together because so many Cowboys played well. I only have 1 stock down. I think we can all kind of guess who it was. Just an unfortunate situation there. But Dan Quinn, certainly somebody who had an incredible game. Dan Quinn was also in. This was just an execution for the Dallas Cowboys. They executed everything that they planned on, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. Zach Fowler says very balanced tonight. It is what it is. Now, Iggy, thank you for the comment, says RJ's not aware that McCarthy wasn't hired to win a single playoff game. Iggy, I'm very well aware, and I'm not saying let's put a statue next to the Tom Landry one outside of AT&T Stadium of Mike McCarthy, but RJ is aware that you have to win a playoff game before you can win a second playoff game. I mean, this idea, we live in these extremes, and so am I sitting here and hyping up Mike McCarthy? Absolutely, but that's because so many Cowboys fans think he is trash, think he is terrible. I have tweets that were in my mentions, before this game started saying like, well, if the Cowboys lose, it probably means Mike McCarthy's out, and so it's kind of worth it in that sense. The Cowboys have a coach who just won a road playoff game. I don't know why there are so many people who refuse to give this man his credit. He is doing something that has not been done in over a quarter century. We're talking about 30 years that it has been since this has been accomplished. Mike McCarthy deserves a lot of credit. That does not mean he's the greatest coach of all time, but it does mean that he deserves some respect. Collins E says, who could be the stock down? We might as well get to it. I really just feel so bad. if you have followed me all season long and were with us here at Blog on the Boys, make sure you subscribe to the channel or the podcast network, wherever you're at, like our Facebook page. You know that I was very critical of Brett Maher, and I was very critical of the Cowboys and bringing him back. And we had a good time with it in a fun way because Brett Maher had such a great season for the Cowboys. I talked about eating crow over and over and over again. I gave Brett Maher his props. He certainly earned all of our belief and all of our validation. And that's why it was so disheartening to watch him just be so bad in this game. 4 missed extra points to start. I don't know what you do. I really I'll ask the question here. By the way, Ivan Rodriguez, thank you for the super chat. I don't know if you did not put your comments. Sometimes that happens. People don't put their comments with the super chat. I know it can be a little bit complicated. So I'm looking for your comment. Ivan says, thank you. Says, give Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn their flowers today, both possibly playing for a head coaching job. I agree with that. I'm going to ask the question. So Dale Tisdale does note that Brett Maher made the last one. That is true. SHZMTZ says it's okay. Maher will bounce back next week. Faith, I would love to believe that myself. Tim Lowe says that Maher had the yips. He'll be okay. So would you move on from Brett Maher? That's my question. And I'll ask the question more specifically. You're in charge of the Cowboys. You're now Mike McCarthy. You're the coach that I just hyped up here on our postgame show. Yes or no? The question is, would you get a different kicker? Would you pursue a different kicker? Yes or no? Would you move on from Brett Maher this week? We're not talking about the offseason. We're not talking about the draft. I mean, I don't think you're drafting a kicker, but undrafted free agency, whatever the case may be. We're talking about, do you go get a different kicker for Sunday afternoon on the road against the San Francisco 49ers as you and the Cowboys try to do something that you have not done since 1995, and that's get to the NFC Championship game? Now, I am seeing nothing but no's. Nothing but no's. I mean, I haven't seen a single yes here. Here we go. Dominique is the person going out on a limb saying yes. Jimmy Holland says yes. Astro Joe says, not sure you can do anything at this point for Maher. It was a fluke. You can't bring someone in, would keep him, assuming he isn't injured. Marlon says, hello. Yes, hello to you, Marlon. I think now Rodney says, yeah, move on. He can't handle big games under pressure. I think that last part is a bit of an overreaction. Caleb says Maher has been money all year. I would move on, but I would make sure we had a solid person to step in just in case. I'm kind of torn. I understand a natural lack of trust, right? Like none of us will trust him, right? And that's okay, right? That's not a slight on Brett Maher, but Brett Maher walks out for his first field goal attempt or extra point on Sunday afternoon against the 49ers. And I think we're all holding our breath a little bit, right? That's just kind of the case. That's kind of what is the result of what we saw on Monday night. But on the other hand, he has been a very reliable, very awesome, certainly long-range kicker for the Cowboys this season. And so, do you go with the 99%, data set, or do you go with the 1%? Because that 1% is so massive and so just kind of, it's the biggest thing. It's the thing that's kind of hanging out in the back of your mind. Do you worry? Do you wonder? Can Brian Anger handle it if you have to? I mean, the Cowboys, effectively blew out the Buccaneers, but if you watch the playoffs on Sunday, we had 3 games to watch, and all 3 of them, came down to the wire, right? Like you're talking about, you're probably going to be in a game that is a one-possession sort of affair. And so are you willing to kind of risk that? If you're Mike McCarthy and you're the dude who everybody's bagging on and RJ's having to defend on the postgame show, are you willing to risk that? I do think it was telling in some level or in some way on some level that even Dak Prescott kind of showed some emotion about it because this game meant a lot. This game meant a lot. You cannot play with fire that way. And it's kind of what this feels like. I lean with most of you and say I wouldn't do it, but man, I will lose some sleep over this week. Fareed, thank you for the super chat, says, no, I was a kicker in high school and college, and kicking on grass is different from turf. Your planning foot is forgiving on turf, while on grass it slips. Now, I appreciate this perspective, Fareed. However, San Francisco is a grass field, and if the Cowboys have to travel to Philadelphia, even if they beat the 49ers, that is a grass field. So you're talking about a lot of grass fields coming up in the Cowboys' future. Trayvon Williams, thank you for the super chat, says Tom Brady, I'm going to add the word football death, 11 p.m., autopsy performed by Dan Quinn. We will see what happens to Tom Brady over the rest of his football future. This game got so bad. This game was such a blowout, obviously, that Joe Buck and Troy Aikman had to pontificate on Tom Brady's future, which is just just so wonderful. Dylan B, thank you for the super chat. Says, we love you, RJ. I love you, Dylan B. Let's see here. Andre Brown says he's used to kicking off turf. I agree. All of this, with this turf and this grass and this conversation about, Brett Maher. But the reality is we're talking about a grass field. So that has to be noted. That has to be included. A football critic, thank you for the super chat, says kickers have bad games as well. It's a mental game. I agree. It's a question though, right? And that's okay. Like, we can acknowledge that it's something we're not going to feel great about, but that the best decision is probably to keep Brett Maher around. Iggy, thank you for the super chat, says nothing, not worried about Maher, just the yips, total fluke. If they lost, I'd probably feel differently. LOL, I'd keep him. I respect the blunt honesty to say if they lost, I'd be really upset about it. So that's well said. Okay, let's move on. Let's get back to that was our only stock down. Obviously, it was just tough to not give Brett Maher a stock down. I feel really bad for him because, I mean, he was amazing all season. And I feel bad for him. We're going to find out what the exact figures were. My guess is that this is going to be the most viewed NFL playoff game ever that wasn't a Super Bowl. This game was massive. It was streamed, not streamed, but it was on ESPN, ESPN2 in the Manning cast, ESPN Deportes. It was on ABC, so it was on network television. It was on ESPN Plus. This game is going to do a massive number. So I feel really, really, really badly for Brett Maher in that his worst moment came on the biggest stage, and there are all sorts of people on a national level that are just going to take some shots at him. So Brett Maher's a tough dude, and obviously has really persevered, and I know we're all rooting for him, but just a bummer of a night for him in that sense. Thankfully, it didn't wind up mattering, obviously. The Cowboys could have won this game 35-14. It just kind of is what it is. Brian says Diggs stock down. Dude played so unmotivated and didn't want to hit anything. I wouldn't go this far personally. I don't think this was Trayvon's best game of all time. But he didn't make the stock down for me. And a lot of that was just there were too many stock ups. I had a hard time really kind of deciding who to give a stock down to. I think it was kind of a neutral game for Trayvon Diggs. I wouldn't go this far. I know that people, myself included, originally had questions about the fumble that was ruled not a fumble and his kind of aversion involved, but it seems clear that he was kind of playing defense, no pun intended, on that moment. So I'm cool with Trayvon. Thank you for the super chat. Ivan Reyes says this guy made 2 60-yard field goals in Minnesota, so I'm not worried. That is well said. All right. Brett Maher, we love you. We believe in you. Please prove us right. Moving on, stock up Dalton Schultz. How can we not give Dalton a stock up? Dalton was amazing. Led the team in targets, led the team in receptions, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. Became, I don't know if anybody knows this, the first Dallas Cowboys tight end ever to have 2 touchdowns in a playoff game. So again, the Cowboys are just curse killers. They're record setters. They're doing all sorts of things that haven't been done in the past. And you know what? We've been talking about how Michael Gallup needs to step up. Michael Gallup. Well, Dalton Schultz needed to step up too. Dalton Schultz has really kind of come along, obviously, as of late. And if that is becoming another option in the passing game for Dak Prescott, it is obviously going to pay some serious dividends down the line. Kevin says Schultz played like last year. Schultz tonight. I agree. I mean, it was an amazing performance. Loco Texas says Schultzy. I agree. Schultz was awesome. A lot of you are hating on Mike Evans. Kevin, by the way, great points. His color rush white pants broke the Navy jersey curse. I agree with that. Doxson says Dalton was blocking his ass off too. It was just really a great game for Dalton Schultz. I mean, a really kind of necessary game to just, revitalize his kind of standing within the team. Jake Ferguson had the great catch. We've talked about that before. You can kind of set your watch by the fact that Jake's going to have a 26-yard gain at some point every week. And that he's going to have a moment that really flashes. So good for Jake Ferguson in that sense. Jerry Pena says watching the team, thank you for the super chat, Jerry, says watching the team leave the field, Curse was walking fine. Jerry, I don't know if, I don't know if you're saying this like the TV broadcast. Obviously, we got here on the postgame show quickly. If you were at the game, you're watching in the car, something like that. Hope you're traveling safely. Aiden says, is Jaron Curse going to be back for next week? We need him to guard Kittle. We'll see. I haven't seen anything else yet as of now, but it does kind of seem like everything's all right. Speaking of kind of questions, I think we were all really terrified about Micah Parsons, obviously near the end of the first half, but thankfully everything kind of wound up being all right there. So good on that front. Let's see here. Let's move on, though. Dalton Schultz. I'm going to give a stock up to Tyron Smith. I'm just going to say something, and you can let me know if you agree or do not agree. This was Tyron Smith's best game as a right tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. And obviously, we're talking about this year, this season. We're not talking about his rookie year. This was the best that Tyron has looked at right tackle. And I mean, we were all kind of worried about this Bucs, front, right? This Bucs defensive line. We were a little bit more worried about the interior of things, right? And Vita Vea and stuff. But this was, Tyron kind of finding himself a little bit. And I you can talk about how maybe that's kind of a small thing. That is a big stock up in my book. And the Cowboys obviously went about this game originally in an interesting way from a offensive line standpoint. Left to right, they went Jason Peters, Tyler Smith, Tyler Biadasz, who was back and played well, Zach Martin, obviously the GOAT, and Tyron Smith at right tackle. Jason Peters got hurt. We've kind of touched on that a little bit, and Tyler Smith had to kick out. Connor McGovern had to come in. But, I mean, Tyron Smith has really really kind of remade himself. He deserves a lot of credit for that. I mean, I don't think any of us really thought this was going to work on some level. Like, I think we all thought like, oh yeah, you plug the guy in, you plug Tyron Smith, he's an amazing player. But I think a lot of us had some doubts, right? We were all kind of worried, and especially because it looked a little bit shaky, right? Like, from the Jacksonville game through last week, it was not exactly, a good time for Tyron Smith at right tackle. And that did happen to a degree, I think, on Monday night. So shout out to Tyron Smith. Shout out to the Cowboys receivers. I told you I cheated on 2 places. I thought, again, I wouldn't say that Noah Brown, I know we had that comment earlier, had a stock down. I thought Noah Brown was fine, but CeeDee Lamb was just, the box score isn't indicative of what CeeDee Lamb really was for the Cowboys in this game. I think we all, CeeDee included, kind of understood the assignment, so to speak. This was not going to be a CeeDee Lamb dominates the box score sort of game. This was going to be a CeeDee Lamb has to do some dirty work and come up with some big-time catches, and I do think he did that. Michael Gallup had the crazy touchdown that was aided, obviously, by the defender touching the ball first. So you're talking about touchdowns for CeeDee, touchdowns from Michael Gallup. Obviously, Dalton Schultz had the other 2, but Dalton Schultz is a pass catcher, right? I mean, so we're kind of lumping them in here. Jake Ferguson was great. T.Y. Hilton had 2 catches for 23 yards. I mean, Tony Pollard got involved in the air. It was just a really productive day for the Cowboys pass catchers, Cowboys receivers. And we've talked about this a lot before too, but if CeeDee Lamb is going to draw a lot of attention, Michael Gallup has to win. And we saw that all throughout this game. So Michael Gallup, I think, deserves a lot of credit. So shout out to the Cowboys receivers as a whole. Brian, thank you for the super chat. Says, per Twitter, and everything on Twitter is true, Curse has an MCL sprain and will undergo further testing tomorrow. We need him next week. Backfield was noticeably weaker after his exit. We will, of course, keep all of you updated at bloggingtheboys.com as we get closer, obviously, to the Cowboys visiting the 49ers on Sunday afternoon. Danny says the old Gallup flashed again. Definitely agree. Devon Trot says, RJ, good weekend for you, sir. First MU and now our Cowboys on to the Niners. That is correct. Manchester United. Manchester is red after the demolition, the 2-1 victory over Manchester City. And who knows, maybe Man United beats Arsenal this coming weekend and the Cowboys beat the 49ers. It is a good time to be a sports fan in my brain. Stock up to the Cowboys receivers. We cannot get through this stock report, obviously, without talking about Micah Parsons. We talked about the injury. This was one of Micah Parsons' best games as a Cowboy. I really think that. Like, this did not have amazing, super freak, oh my gosh, Micah moment. It had like baby moments, but Micah was an absolute menace in this game. Micah answered the call. This was the kind of game, obviously, and the Cowboys are going to play another one of these on Sunday, and another one hopefully next week, and another one hopefully 2 weeks after that. These are the kinds of games where your superstars have to step up. We saw that with Dak Prescott. We've talked about the offense. We saw that, obviously, with CeeDee Lamb. We saw that to a degree with Tony Pollard. We saw with Dalton Schultz. Like, your big-time dudes, guys making big-time money, those dudes have to show up. Those dudes have to have some serious performances when the going gets tough, when it's on the line, blah, 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 blah. Micah had that performance. Micah was a menace. Micah was living rent-free in Tom Brady's mind all throughout this game. Micah Parsons, as David Smith says, was a wrecker. I agree. That's the best word. He didn't have this like flashy moment. He didn't have like a return for a touchdown. He had the almost moments a few different times, but he was just so involved all the time from start to finish. Micah Parsons, the heartbeat of this Cowboys defense, really kind of was that dude on Monday night. Thank you for the super chat 2.0. Says, if the Niners beat our you-know-what again, we should all just refer to them as daddy from here on out. We'll see about that. But I don't think any of us are above admitting that the Niners owned the Cowboys, right? Like, and look, I like to have some fun on Twitter, but I'm kind of done saying like, this feels like this feels like that, this feels like this. Oh, the Cowboys Niners. Well, we played that song and dance last year, right? I don't think any of us are above saying like, this is a very good team. This is maybe the best team in the NFL that the Cowboys are going to have to visit. And I know it's Brock Purdy, but you know what? It's Deebo Samuel, it's Brandon Ayuk, and it's Nick Bosa, and it's, all sorts of just problems. The Niners are an amazing overall team. This will be the most difficult challenge that Mike McCarthy has had as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. This will be the most difficult challenge that Dak Prescott has ever had as the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. This is a monster. This is a mountain to climb that the Cowboys are going to have to do. They are underdogs. Think about that. They haven't been underdogs. When was the last time the Cowboys were even underdogs? I'm trying to think back. I mean, it might have been when they visited the Eagles. I don't know that they have been underdogs at any point in time since then this season. I mean, so it is a hard thing what the Cowboys are going to try to have to do. And I don't think any of us are above admitting that if they lose, it will probably be because the Niners are the better team. So we will see. But yeah, okay, let's see here. Bobby Belt, friend of the show, Cowboys insider for 105.3 The Fan. A lot of you asking about Jaron Kearse. Jaron Kearse says his knee is fine and he'll be good to go. Let's get some clapping emojis, some 100, some dancing emojis, some balloons or something like that. Let's get something. Let's celebrate. Jaron Kearse says he will be fine. That is good to hear. So let's get some cool emojis. I did want to get to this comment from Goat on YouTube. It says, enjoy your wild card win versus the Bucs. Dallas, that was your Super Bowl. San Francisco will end your playoffs. Goat. Thumbs down, cry laughing emoji. Goat, I'm here to tell you that your team, it seems, lost to the Dallas Cowboys. And this is a show where we're celebrating the Dallas Cowboys winning. The Dallas Cowboys won on Monday night because the Dallas Cowboys destroyed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was not their Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is still a few rounds from now. The Dallas Cowboys have a chance to play in that game. It's a low one, but they do have that chance. The Bucs do not because they got destroyed by the Dallas Cowboys. But thank you for your contribution here, Goat. Happy New Year to you and yours. Watson Mata, thank you for the super chat. Says, if Bucs' very physical offensive line and defensive line couldn't bully the Cowboys, then neither will San Francisco. I'm not worried. I do not share that same confidence. I'll just be honest with you. I don't think that the Bucs are the barometer here. This is a different monster that the Niners are. So that's okay. We can admit that. Anthony Gonzalez, thank you for the super chat. Says Dallas has trouble with backup quarterbacks. Still going to be tough. I do think that, and thank you all of you for celebrating the Jaron Kearse thing. Look, the Brock Purdy storyline gets so overdone, right? The Niners are clearly not this team that is propelled by the last pick in the NFL draft. Beyond that, Brock Purdy has played wonderfully. The 49ers are an amazing team. They have an amazing head coach. They have an amazing scheme and design. They have an amazing defense. They are an amazing football team. However, if you had told all of us, all right, that the Cowboys would be one game away from the NFC Championship game and that they would have to take down the last pick in the draft to get there, I think we would have signed up for that. All right. Now, again, there's more to it. It's not the Brock Purdy thing. People tend to just make it about that when they talk about the 49ers. So I'm not trying to do that. But I mean, we would have taken that over Aaron Rodgers. We would have taken that over Tom Brady even. We would have taken that over a lot of other situations and circumstances. So, I mean, it could be worse, but it could also not, because again, it's a very, very unique situation here. What these 49ers are. Just a weird time. But Tommy Peters, thank you for the not super chat, but the comments. Is finally low penalties, and that is stock up. That's the thing. Everybody thought there's no way that Mike McCarthy can get this penalty situation. Blah, 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 blah. The penalties are going to cost the Cowboys. Penalties. The Dallas Cowboys. Does anybody know? I would like somebody to guess while I take a sip of my root beer. Does anybody know how many penalties the Cowboys had on Monday night against the Buccaneers? I would like you to guess the number. How many penalties did the Cowboys have? That root beer is a little bit room temp now. It's lost its chill. And that's not a good taste for me. A lot of you got it right. I didn't expect that. So that was kind of boring. But 2 is the answer. I'll throw this comment from Zach. 2 is the answer. 2 penalties for 15 yards for the Dallas Cowboys. It's impressive. I mean, is it the Super Bowl? No. Is it everything? No. Is it impressive? Yes. Multiple things can be true. They deserve a lot of credit for tightening this operation up. Shout out to the Cowboys in that sense. Let's get back to our stock report. We last spoke about Micah Parsons. Leighton Vander Esch is next up. We've danced around this, but man alive. Micah Parsons is the most important player to the Dallas Cowboys defense. I think DeMarcus Lawrence is the second best player on the Dallas Cowboys defense. You can make an argument, obviously, for Trayvon Diggs, but if we're ranking importance, right, like There's a thing I reference a lot. Dave Damashek, who's wonderful, has a game he plays that's called the Jenga theory, and this has been done a million times, but from other people. But Dave's theory is the Jenga theory. Who is the one player on an NFL team that you take out and everything comes tumbling down like a Jenga tower, right? And it's obviously it's non-quarterbacks, because if you take a quarterback out, unless you're the Cowboys this year, apparently, generally speaking, the quarterback has a naturally large impact. So it's what player is the Jenga piece, what non-quarterback. And I think there's an argument to be made that Leighton Vander Esch is the Jenga piece of this Dallas Cowboys defense. I mean, he is crucial. He is not the best player, but he is the most vital to the overall success of the operation. Larry Wright says LV is the second most important player on the team, not the second best. Again, kind of there's some necessary context here. That's kind of what I'm trying to flesh out. Jay says unpopular opinion, when LV is on the field, we play better, even if he's not making all the plays. Again, it's a weird thing. It's like he's a portal that like opens the opportunity for everybody else to kind of play well around him. Brian, thank you for the super chat. Says LV is the what best defensive player on the Cowboys? Fourth. I mean, I'd put Micah, and if we're like going off talent, I'd put Micah and Tank and Trayvon ahead of him easily. I'd probably put Jaron Kearse ahead of him. But he is so important. He is such an amazing kind of player in what his role, what he represents. As Sneeds says, LV is basically our field general. Danny says a healthy LV is a game changer. Nico says stock up Jonathan Hankins by $1 million. I don't have Hankins on my stock up list. Again, it was a tough draw this week. The Cowboys were awesome, but I'm super fine giving Jonathan Hankins an honorable mention. What a return. And I think, I don't mean to make this about everybody else, right? The Cowboys, players that did everything deserve all of the credit, obviously. But, I mean, we need to give the coaching staff, and give it to whoever you want, whether it's Mike McCarthy or Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn. They were right. I mean, they slow played this in a way. They played with things. They tinkered. They toyed around. They were wise in terms of holding players like Jonathan Hankins back. They made their bet to be ready for the playoffs. We're one game in, hopefully 1 of 4, but they were right. This was what they wanted. They designed things this way, and it worked out for them. So good for the Cowboys in that sense. I don't know if this is real or not. I really don't. I'm seeing a photo. It might be from, I'm starting to think this is real. The Dallas Cowboys team account just tweeted a video of Mike McCarthy with a chain. I'm going to try to get this up here while we're on. So give me a second, everybody. So now we've got Mike McCarthy wearing a chain as things kind of just, work out for the Cowboys in a wonderful way. Let's see here if I can download this and get it up here loaded. I haven't seen this myself yet. Okay, I've got it. Now let's get it uploaded. That's kind of the magic of working while we're on here live. I'm trying to buy myself enough time. All right, the video is uploading. We're going to get a preview of this here or whatever. So Mike McCarthy's wearing this chain. I have not seen this, so I hope it's cool. But it's processing. We're about to get this played for you. Mike McCarthy wearing a chain. This looks to be the video. This is from DallasCowboys.com of the Cowboys celebrating their win on Monday night in the locker room.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, you got to just really feel great about the whole week and leading in there. I mean, the confidence you had in there, we did exactly what we had to do. And I love what Jake K said at the beginning. There ain't nothing else to say. Let's just keep doing it. Let's just keep doing it. All right, great job. We got a wonderful plane ride home, but when we touch down, we're on to the 49ers. Okay? We're on to the 49ers. So great job. So proud of you. Outstanding. All right, let's enjoy this. Enjoy this plane ride. Let's celebrate one another. Love one another. Outstanding.
Hey, let's go. Be great on 3. 1, 2, 3. Be great.
I didn't even listen to that. That just, I guess, like a peek behind the curtain. I don't have the capability to listen to that while we're on live, so I'll listen to it after the fact. I saw some of your comments said it's kid friendly, so hopefully it was. But it looked really cool. Obviously, the image of Mike McCarthy getting the chain, that they've bought in. I mean, right? Like, we sit here and we sometimes we talk about like lame sports cliches, right? Like, they fight hard, they play hard, fight, blah blah blah. Forget the fight T-shirts, put fight on the tumblers and the training camp, folders and things like that. I mean, they really believe. like, again, I can sit here and defend Mike McCarthy, and you can think I'm wrong. They believe. He has he has created a culture, and you can think that's lame and cheesy and silly and whatever. It doesn't mean that it isn't true. I mean, they have created a culture of winning, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. He is somebody who has been in the playoffs over and over and over and over again. Different teams, different players, different quarterbacks, different opponents. He has taken down the best of the very best. Give the man his props. Kudos to Mike McCarthy. Very, very happy for him. Loco Texas says you can tell the players love McCarthy, though. I agree. Really, really cool moment. Obviously, a lot of you said that there was a clip of him dancing. So I haven't seen that. I would like to see it, but I haven't seen it yet myself personally. So good times. Tim Jett says, when it comes to the playoffs, you have to put aside all the BS that you may have as teammates and pull all for one, one for all. Definitely a very cool moment, obviously. Danny says, props to Coach McCarthy. I agree. Think Tank Gallery says, RJ, am I alone, or did Purdy not look great this week? The Niners are stacked, but he makes mistakes and has been lucky. Stats lie. I don't think he I wouldn't say he did not look great. I mean, I think that there are some moments that Brock Purdy is the prime beneficiary of Kyle Shanahan's offensive system, right? And maybe if he were in a different offensive system, he would make some more obvious mistakes. But the problem is, like, that's where this defense is going to have to be great, right? That's where Dan Quinn's going to have to really kind of, make his mark. They're going to have to break Kyle Shanahan's system. They're going to have to force Brock Purdy to beat them, independent of Kyle Shanahan, if that makes sense. And nobody's been able to do that. That's the thing. Nobody has been able to do that. Can the Cowboys do it? If they do, I mean, think about it. It's possible. It's not a 50-50 proposition, right? Because the Cowboys are 3.5-point underdogs. But like, it's not like a joke or a silly thing to say, like, we could be sitting here a week from today with the Cowboys a game away from the Super Bowl. That's like literally possible. I mean, it's again, you can roll your eyes. You could say, oh, it's not happening. Blah, blah, blah. It's literally possible. It is literally in front of them. They are literally 4 quarters of football away from doing something that they have not done as a franchise since 1995. They have been here before. They have let us down many times. I understand all of the heartbreak that is associated with things. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but they have earned that potential opportunity. It's not even a potential opportunity. It is a potential thing, but it is a real opportunity. Let's see here. Fareeth, I missed your super chat comment. I'm looking for it, so apologies. I cannot find it. I feel so bad. I'm looking. If anybody can let me know what Fareeth's question was. I cannot find it in all of the mess. So I will keep looking, though, Fareeth. Sorry about this. Justified says, I love Dak Prescott. I agree. By the way, did anybody else like the Mandalorian trailer? That was a cool kind of, wrinkle to this game. My wife and I have been watching all of the Star Wars things in timeline order. I thought it would be silly, but I got to say, it's been a cool, different experience. So that's cool. I recommend it. Let's see. Carlos Hernandez, thank you for the super chat. From Japan, excellent win from both offense and defense. Van Der Esch and Hankins' presence was felt. Dak played outstanding, and Kellen Moore called a balanced game. On to the 49ers. Go, boys. Thank you very much, Carlos. Hope all is well on your side of the world. Fareeth says you're good. Thank you so much. Ron the Don says tagged you in the dancing clip, sir. All right, Ron the Don. Let's see if I can find that and get it up. Let's see here. This is too hard to pull. Sorry about that, Ron the Don. But thank you. I found your tweet, Ron the Don, for letting me know about that. Mike McCarthy dance, everybody. That's kind of the end of it. Nate, thank you for the super chat. Says, worried about special teams. Is Turpin a liability? We definitely saw some improvement from Kevontae Turpin, obviously. But I mean, we're here, right? That's kind of how I feel about this. Like, we're kind of here now. Brian, I think it's Brian, help him correct here, says Turpin did great. Definitely a better performance. And obviously last week set the bar somewhat low. We have not seen a Kevontae Turpin kick return, and like, oh, maybe that means it's finally going to happen next week. I don't know, but Kevontae Turpin, I thought, was okay. I mean, was not a bad thing for the Cowboys on Monday night. My final stock up, just so we can kind of get that out of the way. Cowboys secondary. I know some people were not pumped about Trayvon Diggs. I thought Trayvon was okay. Again, not a big deal. But we were all worried about Chris Godwin. And then again, he kind of tempted fate with the whole Dwayne Wade jersey thing. But we were super worried, right? Like, what's going to happen? What are they going to do? Oh man, I wouldn't say that Xavier Rhodes was awesome. I wouldn't say like there was a huge answer that the Cowboys found. But the secondary met the challenge. And they're going to have a bigger one on their hands next week. But the Dallas Cowboys secondary, I thought, met the challenge that the week and the game presented them, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. So shout out to them. That is my entire stock report. We do have things to get to, though. Iggy, thank you for the super chat, says stock up RJ, figuring out how many stock ups to give. It's 10. I appreciate the comment, but it's always 10, which makes it hard, obviously, to kind of leave some people out. Some weeks are a little bit more difficult than others. Michael says, believe in the bones, talking about John Fossil, obviously the Cowboys special teams coordinator. Malik Hooker just tweeted, how about them Cowboys? J-Ron Curse just tweeted, still in the dance. Cowboys win. Maybe that's the Mike McCarthy dance. Who knows? Kevin says Brady threw 66 times and scored only twice. I believe you, Kevin, but I know I saw this, but I have to double check this. Holy crap. Again, I knew this in my mind, but Tom Brady was 35 of 66. My goodness. And again, the Cowboys, held them to 2 scores. And a lot of you noting this, a lot of you talked about this earlier, that Israel Mukuamu balled out. Israel Mukuamu was awesome. And that's why I had to do the Cowboys secondary as a whole kind of stock up. Israel Mukuamu was amazing. The Cowboys went at this with some serious DBs on the field, and it worked. It worked for them. Iggy, you had another super chat. I'm looking for it. I don't see the second one. I got the one about the stock reports. So I'm sorry if you can let me know, Iggy, what you said. I'll try to find it. I found one from Tony. Sorry, Tony, I missed it earlier. Micah dominated 3 tackles, 1 sack, 2 passes defended. Seriously, the Micah Parsons show is a lot of fun. Danny says Bucks player gauge seems to be okay. He has concussion and movement. I haven't seen this myself on any tweet. I trust you, Danny, but that is great to hear. Assuming that's the case, that was a really scary moment. Oh, I think this chain. I'm just now seeing this. I see the tweet from Michael Gelkin now, the Dallas Morning News. The chain came from Trayvon Diggs. So cool moments, cool vibes. Good for the Cowboys, good for Mike McCarthy. For Reef, thank you for the super chat, says, I believe we get Bohanna, Gallimore, and Cox back next week. I don't think so. I mean, you can't have every player active, and the Cowboys have kind of laid their cards out on the table. Maybe they do play the 49ers a little bit differently. Maybe they want some more beef in the middle to kind of clog things up for Christian McCaffrey, but I have a feeling they're going to want a lot of speed on the field, a lot of DBs. I mean, they're going to be playing a lot of nickel, obviously, to kind of contain Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. They're going to need those safeties, obviously, as we've talked about many times, to run, obviously, with George Kittle. But I can't see the Cowboys, doing that. I mean, they made their inactives the way they did for a reason, I think. Anthony G 831 brings a super chat that says Cowboys suck, go Niners. So that everybody is aware, Anthony paid money that Anthony worked very hard for to tell us that the Cowboys, who just won a playoff game, suck and that the Niners are going to win. I think that's interesting. You know what, Anthony? I would tell you that Niners Nation is our website at SB Nation that covers the San Francisco 49ers. The people who work there are great friends of mine. Go give them your money. Go give them your hard-earned money. Go give them the super chat and compliment the Niners instead of coming here. Go support the team you actually like instead of allowing the Cowboys to live in your head rent-free. Let's see here. Rick says sports, I think you mean Sports Center, has a different video with Coach McCarthy with a chain and dancing. Cannot wait to see it, obviously, but enjoying this kind of discussion and sort of camaraderie that we're having here. I don't have to tell you this. This is not common for us, right? We're all Dallas Cowboys fans, right? That's why except for Anthony, I presume. So we're all here, and we have all been hurt, right? Like, and we might be hurt on Sunday, right? Like we have all been hurt before. This does not happen to us all that often. They do not do this. They had not won a road playoff game in 30 years. Think about that. That is wild. To truly and totally kind of let your mind live in. And so enjoy it. I mean, and that's not like a defeatist sort of thing. That's not saying like, oh man, well, I think they're going to lose on Sunday, so you really should just enjoy this next week. No, you should enjoy this because it's an awesome thing. You should enjoy this because it's fun. You should enjoy this because the Cowboys are one of the best teams in the NFL. They have proven that time after time after time after time. That does not mean that they will win the Super Bowl. That does not guarantee anything, but it guarantees that they have a shot. It guarantees they have a chance. It guarantees they have an opportunity. One shot. All right. Shout out, of course, to the 313. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to get here over and over and over again. And the Cowboys have done it 2 years in a row. Caleb, thank you for the comment, says we may get hurt again next week, but nothing can take this from me for a while. A second playoff win in my lifetime, and I'm going to smile about it for a while. That's the thing, man. I mean, the Cowboys just went on the road and beat Tom Brady in the playoffs and missed me with this. Like they were below 500 and Tom Brady's washed and all this stuff. They just took out the greatest player of all time, and they had never beat him before. Think about that. We had all had to, I presume, if you're maybe not too young, we all have had moments, many moments where we're like, I cannot believe they lost to Brady. I cannot believe they lost in the season opener. I can't believe they only put up 3 points. I can't believe it. I can't believe they lost in Tampa last year. Dak was so wonderful. I can't believe they lost. If Greg Zuerlein just makes the field goal, oh my gosh, blah, 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 whatever the case would be. I can't believe that the Cowboys went to New England in 2019 in the rainstorm and they lost. I can't believe the Cowboys with Brandon Weeden just couldn't beat Tom Brady. I can't believe the Cowboys, when they were undefeated and the Patriots were undefeated in 2007, couldn't beat them after T.O. hung the big sign about being the original 81. This has never happened, ever. They've never beaten Tom Brady. And it isn't sad or pathetic to be hyped about that. It's cool, and it makes sense to be hyped about that. Let yourself enjoy it, because tomorrow, and by that I mean next week, is not promised. We do not know what the future has in store for this Cowboys team. They might be on the wrong end of a waxing. They might get obliterated. They might get destroyed. They might win. We have no idea. But you should enjoy this win. You should enjoy this moment. Tomorrow is Victory Polo Monday, of course, a Victory Polo Tuesday edition of the day. What a good time. What a good day. Tony says, where can I get a Blog on the Boys polo? We are working on that. It's tough. These are, right now just for the shows only. Tough situation. Doxson says, if we beat the Niners, I hope we play the Giants. I predict they will upset the Eagles. Now, let's kind of tie a bow on things. And in case you're unaware here, we have a lot of things for you here at Blog on the Boys. We have blogontheboys.com, kind of our sort of central hub. We have tons of articles coming out all the time. Blogontheboys.com, the Blog on the Boys podcast network. If you're a podcast listener, make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We have 2 different shows that come out every single day. Obviously, this is one of them on game days, but you can hear me there a lot, obviously, throughout the week. The Blog on the Boys YouTube channel is going to be very busy this week. We're going to have a lot of live shows. So tonight is Monday night. Tomorrow on Tuesday, we will have our Blog on the Boys roundtable. Myself and several BTBers will come here. We'll talk about the game, preview the Niners, et cetera, et cetera. Because it's the playoffs, we will have a second roundtable this week as well. We'll have a new episode of the NFC East mixtape on Wednesday, where one of my friends who works for our Niners site, Rob Stats Guerrero, will come. We'll talk about that game. We're going to have a lot of stuff for you, is my point. All free, because we all love the Cowboys. So all you got to do is check it out on the internet. It's really all you got to do. Use your app, whatever you want to do. But to kind of set the stage for the week to come, the Cowboys, once again, 3.5-point underdogs. That is the initial opening line per our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. The game on Sunday is at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. This is my wife's birthday on Sunday, so hopefully the Cowboys make it a good day. But they have now won a road playoff game for the first time since that 1992 NFC Championship game, a game that was played in San Francisco, and they did it and now have to go right back there to San Francisco. And we will know on Saturday night, because the Cowboys are the final game of the divisional round weekend. We will know what is at stake for the Cowboys. If the Philadelphia Eagles win on Saturday night, and if the Cowboys win, they head to Philly can you imagine? Think about it. I know this is kind of crazy to say out loud. We are 2 games away from the Cowboys and the Eagles meeting one another with a ticket to the Super Bowl on the line. That is wild to really say out loud. But if the Cowboys win, if the Eagles win the night before, that game will be in Philadelphia. If the New York Giants do pull off the upset, then the Cowboys will know going into Sunday afternoon that a win in San Francisco puts them at home for the NFC Championship game. That is correct. If you did not know that, a Cowboys-Giants NFC Championship game would be played at AT&T Stadium. No wildcard team ever has hosted a conference championship game. This would be the first time ever. But obviously that requires the Giants winning. Obviously we don't care, right? Cowboys just win, get to the conference title game. That's what we want to see happen the most. Ron the Don says, what is the line for Philadelphia, New York? It was 7.5. It is still 7.5. The Eagles are 7.5-point favorites over the Giants on Saturday night in Philadelphia. That is according to our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, you can get different lines elsewhere, obviously. I can't believe it. I mean, I can and I can't, right? The Cowboys are the better team, right? Like on some level, we all kind of knew this was possible. I think if we kind of unpack this and we kind of tell ourselves, like, we're talking to ourselves now, like, what do we need to know now moving forward? What we need to know moving forward, what we need to know to be true. These are all truths. I'm not going to, blow smoke at you. All right. These are all undeniable truths. The Dallas Cowboys have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL on their team. He happens to be one of the hottest quarterbacks in the NFL right now. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL on their team that in the first round of the playoffs put up 5 touchdowns. They have one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, right? They have one of the best wide receivers left in the NFL, is CeeDee Lamb. They have a rough and tough offensive line. They have, when it gets going, one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL, although they're about to play the very best one, obviously, in San Francisco. They have one of the best defenses left in the NFL playoffs. They have maybe the second best defensive player left if you put Nick Bosa ahead of Micah Parsons. I mean, so when you lay it out like that, it's hard not to like their odds. That's not to say they should be favored. That's not to say it's guaranteed. That's not to say it's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. That is just to say that they have a shot. That is an exciting thing. I love you all. I can't believe we get at least another round of this. So I'm going to enjoy it. I hope you are as well. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. If you take a Victory Polo Monday, Victory Polo Tuesday photo, please tag me in it. I'm at RJ Ochoa on Twitter, at RJ Ochoa on Instagram. I am RJ.Ochoa on TikTok because somebody had RJ Ochoa, and I'm very upset about that even still. Okay. Go Cowboys. Go Giants. Goes without saying. And go actually to righteousfelon.com and use discount code BTB15 to get 15% off of your order. The Dallas Cowboys beat Tom Brady. The Dallas Cowboys won a road playoff game. Dallas Cowboys are one game away from the NFC Championship game. Man alive. What a good time to be alive. I love you all. All right. I love you all. I love you all with all my heart. If I had a chain, I would put it on and dance like Mike McCarthy. All right. Have a great week. Get ready for Cowboys Niners talk all throughout the Blogging the Boys universe. We will see you later, my friends. Have a great night. One love.